The first aspect of investing, first of all, is budgeting. You have to play defense before you play offense. If you're growing a tree, you have to make sure that soil is good before that ever could bear fruit. So that's how you have to kind of look at it.
I think about 90% of traders actually stop trading.
I'm not against trading, but I just tell people it ain't for everybody. Don't come in with unrealistic expectations of it.
One of the biggest things that I've learned from investing is just simply welcome back to this week's episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast, where we talk about digital finance, tech, and online opportunities for Bahamians. I'm your host, Nelson Ricardo, and I'm joined with my co-host,
Lamont Astwood, aka Lambo.242.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be giving you the real about what's going on in the crypto industry. How is it that CryptoNoobz is actually going to be helping out Bahamians? And what else is it that we could do in this particular time as crypto is low? So first and foremost, Lambo, what do you think is going on with crypto? Crypto has been low for a very long time now. Last year, we were hitting highs of over $120,000. And right now, Bitcoin is sitting at $73 and going down.
I think it actually does present an opportunity that I think a lot of people overlook, right? Because last year when you had those yearly highs, you got to remember you're dealing with new government coming in, they're making a lot of inroads as far as like digital currency, not digital currency, but more so like adopting Bitcoin and crypto into its ecosystem. But now I think it's like, all right, I don't want to say the music has stopped, but the people have kind of gotten like, okay, we have other things to worry about now. Gas is at all time, like not all time high, but gas is high right now in the States. People are more playing defense with their investment portfolios. But I always say like this presents opportunity. Like don't see it as the market being down. See it as crypto's on sale right now. This is like the best time to buy it. Obviously, you got to make sure you buy something that's feasible and it's going to last into the future. But you want to make sure that you take advantage of this time.
I wholeheartedly agree. So first and foremost, crypto usually happens in cycles. Usually when you see we've actually had a lot of highs, usually there's some sort of a correction that happens. And right now, I do think it is part correction, part institutions are now preparing to basically adopt crypto. So what's going on inside the background is you're having a lot of institutional players now adopting blockchain technology and crypto technology into their banking systems and wealth systems. And, that's what's really happening now inside of the banking, inside of the background. I believe that crypto and blockchain is going to be the plumbing for a lot of tomorrow's financial systems. And so right now, when you see this time of kind of silence, it all just comes from, hey, we're just preparing. Some of the things that have happened, let me share my screen here. Some of the things that have happened that have really interested me would have been things like this, like where Mark Cuban, who's was a huge fan of Bitcoin, says that he's already dumped most of his Bitcoin, saying that Bitcoin has lost the plot. What do you think about that?
I guess what it might have originally been used for, I guess he feels as though it kind of went away from that. But I see what they say. Experts say he sold at the worst possible time. I think Bitcoin is going to rebound. Now, I'm not concerned about Mark Cuban's Bitcoin portfolio because he's wealthy before Bitcoin and he's going to be wealthy after Bitcoin. From what I think. So that isn't really a big deal. I mean, I don't see it as like, oh, he made such a major mistake. I think he's going to lose, I don't know, millions now. Don't sleep. I think he's going to lose a couple good much millions. But yeah, I guess, what are you saying? Like, he gave more insight into why he said it lost the plot?
Yeah, he said, so it says, I don't know if it's dead, but I'd say it's disappointing. That's what Mark Cuban has to say about crypto in recent interview, right? Say Bitcoin is a major source of Cuban's disappointment. This might get some people upset. I think Bitcoin has lost the plot, he said. The former Shark Tank host says he recently sold most of his Bitcoin because it isn't performing well as an inflation hedge, especially now that the Iran war is causing inflation hikes. So that really says a lot about it. And I'll be honest, in the past year, I believe that Bitcoin hasn't performed as well as some people would have wanted it to.
No, it isn't.
I could be honest when I said, if you had probably invested inside of some stocks, you probably would have gotten a better return than with Bitcoin, at least inside of the past year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's if you came on last year this time, but if you was in before, you
hmm
still sitting pretty. But yeah, definitely it's been a lot of stocks and a lot of companies that have definitely outperformed Bitcoin over the past year for sure.
Yeah. But the way that I think of it is if you think of Bitcoin over the long term, it usually always has this whole situation where it does very poorly. Everyone now debates whether or not it's dead, says
Yeah.
crypto is going to die, and then it starts to perform again. And then everybody
Yeah.
is now, they're the biggest fan of crypto. How could I get into crypto? And we've seen it so many times before. At this point, it's just a part of the script.
Yeah. I was reading a book one time from a financial advisor, and he was talking about Bitcoin, and he was like, a lot of people, whenever Bitcoin is up, it's like people always want to hop in, but once the value goes down, everyone forgets it exists. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of like the cycle which you see. So he's like, when it goes up again, people are gonna be back on the bandwagon. And when it goes down again, people are gonna forget it exists, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, why did I buy this?" And they're gonna sell off. Then when they see the value going up again, they're gonna try to buy back in.
And it just shows your tenure in the industry because it just happens, that's this is all a part of the game,
Yeah.
it's just simply a part of the game. In other news, I have here where Michael Saylor had moved 30 million in Bitcoin. So here's a little bit of context about this, right? Michael Saylor, the owner of Strategy, it used to be MicroStrategy. Right now, it is now called Strategy, right? His never sell stance when it came to Bitcoin was gospel inside of the crypto community. Michael Saylor was that guy. Like he's one of the number one Bitcoin people in the world, right?
Yeah.
And on May 5th, he would have dropped a bombshell saying that the company is considering selling Bitcoin, which is wild for Michael Saylor. If you know who Michael Saylor is, this is like almost blasphemy.
Yeah, because this whole philosophy has been for years, just buy Bitcoin. Whenever you get extra money, just buy Bitcoin. Whatever you do, just buy Bitcoin. And a lot of people follow this recommendation. A lot of people did listen to him, and a lot of people did follow that recommendation. So now I'm sure he didn't say to sell all your Bitcoin or they're selling all their Bitcoin. I highly doubt they're doing that, but I guess just to protect their financial position, they realize they might have to liquidate some of their portfolio, which, I mean, it happens. That's most companies got to do that.
And this is just what happens when you're now operating more as a company. Because, if you just had your own personal Bitcoin holdings, it was not, maybe, not saying it definitely will, but maybe you could have just continued to keep this philosophy. But because he's running a company and he still has to pay staff, you still have investors, stakeholders, shareholders, all these different people who are relying on the company's success. This is just something that kind of puts you in that situation where you will have to, eventually sell. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Once again, inside of our previous podcast, we had our guest from Air BTC who said straight up, for Bitcoin to work, you have to sell it. It has to be bought and sold. So I don't think that this is a bad thing. I think that this is the actual purpose of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned everything, when you're dealing with investors and all that, you have to answer to people at that point. This isn't just okay. When you're dealing with private stuff, once you can pay your bills and you can buy food and stuff like that, you're pretty much good. But when you have people who are gonna now question your investment decisions, they're gonna scrutinize the asset, the balance sheet, and all the rest of that. You have to start making those type of decisions. Like you might not want to sell it off, but that's what you have to do. Because let's be real, Michael Saylor ain't missing no meals. Don't matter what Bitcoin goes to. Like, yeah, he's gonna pay his bills. It's just that he has to answer, and that's usually what it is.
Another thing that we definitely would actually like to discuss on this podcast episode is just some changes that are going to happen with CryptoNoobz as a company. So first off, I just want to demystify this, right? Usually when people hear the crypto and CryptoNoobz, they think that we're just all about crypto. And yes, crypto is our core. We're not going to deny that. We came in here with the want to teach beginners cryptocurrency. but we have since evolved to wanting to teach digital finance, tech, and online opportunities, especially to our brethren in the Bahamas, right? So things that you could expect from us is a lot more workshops and a lot more digital products, a lot more talks now on finance. It was not. Once again, Lamont recently launched a book that talks about emergency funds. We just did a podcast on that last time on the CryptoNoobz podcast. And, because we realized there was a bigger mission at hand, right? We realized that inside of our home country, the Bahamas, there is definitely a lot of stress put on the Bahamian people. And a lot of Bahamian people are looking for opportunities to make money, to be able to save their money, to be able to invest their money. So in having our community, we decided that we're going to be the ones to assist our people with, being able to do that. Because once you get wealthy, all of us get wealthy, each one teach one, you know.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to say to that or add on to it?
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people, when they are just crypto, first of all, like not a lot of people hear about crypto and all that. Some people think it's out of their depth, but it would be good, like, for us to like just basically do like the steps to show them, like, all right, this is an option, but this isn't the only thing for you to do. We have to learn, like you say, like online opportunities, stuff like that. That there are other ways out there to make money. It isn't just crypto. Crypto is just a subset of the wider avenues for you to earn, especially money online. That is something that is definitely underrated in this day and age. So yeah.
Yeah. See, the reason why I think now is a great time to focus on these things is, right? Just as you said, crypto alone isn't enough. And one of the things to be also try to teach people is this, right? Crypto is just one asset class. There are many different assets that you could actually get into. There's the Bahamas registered stock, there's mutual bonds, there's actual normal stocks, like you could even invest inside of homes or businesses. And this is what, especially people in the Bahamas, are still wrapping their heads around. Not to say that they can't do it or anything like that, but it really is a situation where they just don't know any better. Or at
Yeah.
least the information is very scarce. You only hear about it when you're a part of certain groups.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Definitely true.
yeah. So when the tourism stops, the digital income doesn't.
Mm.
You could actually earn some really good money from, doing some other things. But when we talk about things like digital literacy or financial literacy, like why do you think it is that so many Bahamians don't really understand, like, let's say for financial literacy, you're more from the financial side. What do you think is the biggest roadblock stopping Bahamians from understanding their finances?
Education, access to education, and awareness. Awareness is really like the thing. They just aren't privy to certain things. When you're in school, we're not taught about a lot of, unless you did like finance or like accounting or economics or something, you don't really learn a lot about how money works and budgeting and saving and all the rest of those things. They don't have those classes like mandatory. You see what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
even in accounting and all that is more so like looking at it from an objective way of just categorizing it. Like if you're working for a company or if you of your own practice, but it doesn't really teach you like the psychology behind money, what goes on, because a lot of it is psychological. That's a huge part of like when you're getting into like financial advisory, consultancy, that's a big part of it is understanding the psychological aspect of it. Because most investment decisions are based around that. People invest in things because they see other people do it. A lot of it is herd behavior. They want to be in the middle of the pack. You don't want to stand out too much because you end up looking like a fool if you lose your money, stuff like that. So I think it's really just education awareness. Like a lot of people just don't have those things in place. And when you have some people, they'll hear stuff like investing and all that, and they don't understand, okay, the first aspect of investing, first of all, is budgeting. You have to play defense before you play offense. You have to make sure if you're growing a tree, you have to make sure that soil is good before that ever could bear fruit. So that's how you have to kind of look at it. But yeah, I just think a lot of it is just that we're not privy to things in the traditional education system growing up and all that. I think that's a big part of it.
Mhm. I wholeheartedly agree. I want to come back to that point where you talked about the investing part, how people need to actually start budgeting before investing and playing defense before they start to play offense, right? I
Mm.
want to come back to that part. But from the digital side, I think the number one thing blocking access is also education as well. So here's the thing with digital, right? Everything is already online. Everything that you want to learn about crypto, AI, all of this is already online. However, it's not necessarily talked about that much. That's the thing. So if you want to learn, say, about AI or automation or AI agents and things like that, right?
Yeah.
These are things that usually come up if you are in a specific niche group. And it's not necessarily something that we just normally talk about here inside the Bahamas. So it's about time that, there is a group where you could actually have these conversations and understand what are these various things. You feel me? And
Mm.
that's where we come in. I like these things. I like AI. I like using different tools to create different things. But now is sharing the knowledge because I realize a lot of humans just simply don't have the knowledge or the spaces to have these conversations. Once again, referencing one of our previous podcasts, the one with Kieran Rose, right? One of the things that he said is that inside the Caribbean, there's hardly any spaces to have these conversations about new tech, new things like that, Like
So,
that's just what's up. But going back to your pin, when it comes to investing, right? Like how a lot of people want to invest, but they have to play defense before they play offense. One of the biggest things that I've learned from investing is just simply you actually have to have money to invest.
yeah.
And if you don't have any money, like investing just kind of feels like it's hurting you rather than helping you.
Yeah, like you have to have a nest egg because a lot of investment products actually they do a minimum investment amounts. So like you have minimum like certain investment offerings and stuff. You have like a minimum. I don't like this word like a buy-in if that makes sense. Like you
Mm.
cannot take part in it if you don't have a certain amount of money. And there's like a lot of people they just focus on that and they use that to like stop them from it. And it's like no, it's like there's ways you could go about it. You just love to do like the first part, the budgeting and the saving part aspect first or you love to find like alternative investment options which you could use until you could get to that level.
That's the thing. Like, here's my honest framework. I've tried investing, tried saving, and I've also tried trading. I wouldn't call myself a trader, right? But I have tried trading,
Yeah.
right? I do think that there's an understanding that needs to be had, or at least a conversation that needs to be had before people just jump into the investing or the trading world. And that conversation starts off with, for example, a lot of people hear trading and they want to just jump into trading. The reality of trading is just simply first and foremost, you're going to lose a lot of money in the beginning while you're learning. And learning, although it varies person to person, and it also varies based on your teacher, learning takes time. A lot of people want to get into trading, especially to make money, and that's okay. Right. But I think that a lot of them go into it with a very desperate mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I need a way to make money and I need a way to make money fast. You're walking inside of markets with a gambling mentality,
Yeah.
thinking that you're going to get huge returns. That being said, additionally, with investing, just as you said, there's also the buy in part of it. But the difficulty with both is that with one, you could lose a lot of money. With the other, usually you need to have some money before you could even really do anything that's significant, in most cases at least. That being said, I think that the best structure for most people would be to start with your baseline, actually have your nest egg, actually like build up your emergency fund that you just have some money that you could rely on in case the worst case situation happens. From there, you need to be looking for other streams of income. You need to be making money online or offline, whichever one. You
Yeah.
need to be actually like having more than one streams of income that generates income that is outside of your job. This is in the case because most of the people who listen to us more than likely have some sort of a full-time job that they're going to, right? Making money outside of your job. Now, after making some income, then you actually have then you not only have the cushion if something bad happens, you also have some extra money. And with that extra money, now you can start to invest to generate new money and have your money work for you. And then I think that's where it makes sense to, start going into trading because at least you already didn't have a cushion if things get bad. You already didn't have some income coming in and you have your money that is also working for itself to create more money. This is the framework that I've kind of been like watching. And that I'll be trying my own self. Once again, this isn't financial advice, but this is a framework that I'll be trying my own self that I've just watched, because most of the successful traders that I've met or had conversations with, they already had some money to where they're not, or they had something that was going on where when they were losing money in the learning sessions, they were able to be okay.
Yeah, like trading, I tell people like you have to have enough financial resources as well as time resources, because a lot of people don't realize it takes a lot of time for you, because it is a skill. It's a skill you have to build, right? So that's something where you have to put in that time, and you got to be willing to lose that money in the early stage, and you have to be okay with it. That's really like the part where a lot of people struggle, because a lot of people think, all right, their first week they're gonna be making thousands of dollars and all that, and it's like it isn't gonna work. It usually don't work like that. Not to say it's impossible, but it's a very slim chance it's gonna happen. So it's like you just gotta be prepared to make that financial and that time commitment to it. But I just tell people like I'm not against trading, but I just tell people it ain't for everybody, right? It ain't for everybody, and don't come in with unrealistic expectations of it. You have to be very, very clear on what you think is going to happen, or like set a goal. Like you say, the first stage of it is just really learning. That's what you need to do. You just need to learn.
Yeah, I think about 90% of traders actually stop trading.
Yeah.
So, that's just what that is. And also, we are having our next Crypto and Coffee. That is going to be June 18th. So, yeah, we actually started doing Crypto and Coffee as a community initiative to bring the community together, where we talk about different subjects stemming from digital finance, online opportunities, tech, or just finance or tech in general. So we're going to be having these meetups to actually get to see the community, and so that the community can learn in real time. If you're interested, just look on our Facebook page, go on our social medias, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our TikTok, and yeah, just check it out, see what's what. This past week we did our Bitcoin Pizza Day. So definitely we thank our community members for coming out to that. That was really great. Like, what do you think about Bitcoin Pizza Day?
Yeah, I think it's good, man. It's good. A lot of people, they really like the idea of coming together to celebrate that guy's financial loss. It's really good. Keeps the community together. That's something what I think a lot of people, you know, they enjoy, and I enjoy it too. I love it.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's just about bringing together the community. We learn together, we earn together. So yeah, so that's just what's up. So in other news, and this was actually inside of the newspaper not too long ago, Dr. Dimitri Allen, who's the provost of the University of the Bahamas, said that, the FinTech space in the Bahamas has seen tremendous growth. As the university gets to launch the UB FinTech and Regulatory Innovation Program in collaboration with Cambridge University and the Securities Commission of the Bahamas in June. Dr. Nagipri, Assistant Provost for Innovation at UB, the Global Programs Advisor for Cambridge University, told The Guardian that we are looking to set up a Bahamas Digital Assets Association because we've seen tremendous growth. A few fintech firms are coming back into the jurisdiction. They have been licensed by the SCB, and they are really excited to be here. Post FTX, we'll see growth, so I think the Bahamas remains top tier because we've got a very strong international financial center. I think we'll remain at the forefront. And I just wanted to say that because I think that is excellent news for us in the Bahamas, because after the FTX situation, it was like the Bahamas stayed away from crypto as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, it became a thing where a lot of people, the fear kicked in. Before a time, you could say, all right, the greed was there, but then after that situation happened, yeah, the fear definitely kicked in, and a lot of people, they kind of thought it was just all of crypto was a scam, because that was a lot of Bahamians. I don't want to say their first interaction, like it was their first real life interaction with the crypto industry. So it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
So it is great to hear that, finally we're moving away from fear. And I think it's actually ironic, It's actually ironic because earlier we would have said that, crypto is at a all-time low. Right now, it's not an all-time low, but crypto is very low right now.
Yeah.
And while a lot of people are leaving crypto, here we have the Bahamas is diving into it, getting closer with it, and actually trying to educate students about it. And this is what I think is needed. I think that this means that the Bahamas is bullish on crypto and teaching about fintech and what's not. Remember, we were the first ones to launch the world's first retail central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
And we also actually have regulations underneath the Digital Assets and Registered Exchanges Act, the DARE Act, you know? So we actually have the positioning. And I think if we were to really play our cards right, as a nation, we could carry on like El Salvador.
Hmm.
I think that we could carry on like nations like El Salvador. Like,
Yeah, there's a
we
lot
could
of
do it.
opportunity.
Yeah, we could do it. So, with that being said, once again, it's a lot of opportunities. It's just we continue to build, even if crypto is down or up, the mission does not stop. The goal is to help you, and we can all both learn and earn together, you know. With that being said, once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast. Remember to actually check on Lamont's emergency fund book. And even, I forgot, I also launched my own book that actually is a crypto beginner's playbook. The whole goal of the book is just to teach people about what cryptocurrency is, literally from the start to the end. And it really gives a whole breakdown of what cryptocurrency is, the how, the what, the why, and different ways that you could actually use cryptocurrency. So if you're interested, you could also purchase that. It's only going for $10 because we want as much people to actually get the knowledge as possible. And additionally to that, we also have Lamont's emergency fund book, which teaches you how to actually build your emergency fund, your cushion for whenever having any sort of financial problems. You actually have some money that's stored away. And also, Lamont, there's another book that you had to go along with that book. Would you mind telling them about that?
The 90-day emergency fund planner.
Yes. And what does the planner do?
So basically, it's just a 90-day plan. So it gives you like, if you want to track how much money you're saving per day towards a goal, this would definitely help you. And it's totally free. So, it isn't so much pressure on you, but it's definitely something I want people to take advantage of. Because when you could do that, I mean, you could say, all right, I want to save X amount of money. When you're actually seeing every day how much money you're putting in, you could track whether you're heading towards that goal or if you have to make any adjustments in your budget or things like that. So sometimes when you write stuff down and you see it, it does have a great impact. It's more embedded in your mind as opposed to just looking at it mentally, because our brains have a way of like contorting things to make us feel more comfortable. But sometimes when you write it down, it's in your face. So you could say, all right, I saved $10 today, I saved $20 today, I saved $15, whatever. So this just to help you do that. And I encourage everybody, just check it out.
All right. With that being said, you guys have a great night, and we'll see you on the next one.